Alright, what's going on YouTube? I'm giving you guys the top 5 best meta loadouts for Warzone 2. These loadouts are going to be very easy to use, they have very little recoil, and you'll have a very good time using them just because they kill super fast, and with all things getting nerfed, you need a good weapon. So, we're going to start out with the two most popular weapons. These are the best ones to actually use both long range and close range. So, we're going to start out with the ISO Hemlock with the Harbinger D20. And this for sound suppression, bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil smoothness. Now, cons are aim down sight speed, aiming stability, and aim walking speed, but increase the bullet velocity to 0.87 inches and the recoil smoothness to 0.54 ounces. After that, it doesn't get better. F-Tac Rubber 56 for aiming out stability, hipfire accuracy, recoil stabilization at the cost of walking speed, and aim down sight speed. Now, there are some things you got to actually keep in mind, but I'm going to get right to that. It's very important that you increase the aiming out stability at 0.35 inches and the recoil stabilization by 0.65 ounces, and don't change it beyond that. This is good, but without the tuning, it's not going to feel as nice as you would actually think. Fielder T50. Now, put the damage range to 0.17 inches and the recoil steadiness to 0.15 pounds. I know that seems small, but trust me, this is where you want to set it. You don't want to go beyond that. It doesn't really help. It actually does more damage. Now, solves with damage range, bullet velocity, hip fire accuracy, and recoil control at the cost of aiming down sight speed, hip recoil control, and movement speed. Put on a 45 round mag. I mean, that doesn't really need to go into detail, except you lose movement speed, aim down sight speed, reload quickness, and sprint to fire speed. If you want to keep that, take it off, and you'll just have 30. Last but not least, aim out V4, set the distance to far, all the way maxed out. And then here's the outcome. I mean, it's super easy to use. This is quite literally my first time getting on, so just show you guys the most organic view. Like, this is super easy to use. In fact, you shouldn't struggle to using this weapon at all. It's probably one of the easiest weapons in Warzone 2 right now. You have great accuracy with it. You barely have to hold your thumbstick down. It's just a perfect gun to use. So please try that out. Then we have the Vaznev. Now, I think to anyone who actually plays rank play, they'll be happy to see this build right here. I mean, it's not exactly the same rank play build, but it's very, very close and it's very easy to use. It also has very little recoil. So because of all of that, it's a very fantastic weapon to use in Warzone 2. It gets the job done very quickly and you can absolutely shred. So you start out with the CAS-1 381mm for damage range, hip fire accuracy, and bullet velocity at the cost of aiming down sight speed and hip recoil control. I did not change the length, but I increased the weight by 0.34 pounds for recoil steadiness. Put on the 45 round mag. Put on the true tack grip for sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed increase at the cost of recoil control. Put the sprint to fire speed to negative 0.15 inches and the recoil steadiness to 0.58 ounces. Put on the broadside FCT for aiming stability, crouch movement speed, aim down sight speed, and sprint speed at the cost of aim walking speed and recoil control. Set the aiming out stability at 0.70 inches, and I basically maxed out the aim down sight speeds at negative 3.87 ounces. And here's the outcome. Now here's the thing, you want to keep this close to medium range. That's where it basically shines. Long range is going to be kind of tough. I'll show you guys. It's going to be like, you're going to be fighting a really tough battle long range, and you can do it, but the main thing is you're just going to use this close to medium range. That's its main goal. And plus, with all the other SMGs actually getting nerfed, this is a fantastic weapon to actually use. You're not going to have a hard time. And the ADS is actually pretty good. So, you won't have trouble just getting into the fight, winning, and then moving on. Another thing is, you know, long range fights, you need to basically keep them to the ARs. That way you don't even have to stress in the first place. Just get the swap off, and short to medium range, you'll be good to go. Another thing is the Fennec. Now, the Fennec is still a good SMG, but I don't think it's the best anymore. I honestly do think the Vaznev is the best now. If you want to use the Fennec, though, for fast range, close range engagements, completely fine, completely up to you, if that's what you're used to. The LR 16.5 ignition barrel for damage range, bullet velocity, hip fire accuracy, and recoil control at the cost of aim down sight speed, hip recoil control, and movement speed. Increase the damage range by 0.25 inches and the recoil steadiness by 0.32 pounds. Put on the .45 auto pressured ammunition. Increase the bullet velocity by 5.52 GR and the damage range by 0.25 Gs. Put on the Fennec Mag 45. I mean, obviously there's cons, but I recommend keeping it on there. Put on the Fennec rubber grip for sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed at the cost of recoil control. Put the sprint to fire speed to negative 0.16 inches and the aim down sight speed to negative 0.68 ounces. Put on the Agile Assault 7 stock for sprint speed, aim walking speed, crouch movement speed, and aim down sight speed at the cost of aiming stability and recoil control. So I maxed out the aiming out of stability and decreased the weight by negative 2.06 ounces for aim down sight speed. And here's the outcome. So this thing still is really good. You know, it'll still get the job done. It's not a long range SMG, so please refrain from using it long range. You're just gonna have a hard time. You would just be better off trying to burst fire. But this is basically meant for short and medium range, and try to keep it that way. You'll do good with that. If you try to do long range, it's just not going to work out. Now, I mean, I would honestly recommend having a long range weapon ready at hand so that you'll actually be able to protect yourself and not have to rely on this SMG for long range gunfights. Otherwise, you're most likely going to lose. Another thing I actually want to show you guys is the MP5. Now, I wanted to give you guys a really good MP5 build, so I was really looking around and seeing what would work really well. So some people wanted a fast movement build, and this is basically what I came up with. It has stockless mod, and I'm kind of surprised. I didn't think I would want to use a stockless mod for the MP5, but I mean, it works pretty well. So this increases aim down sight speed, sprint to fire speed, movement speed, and hip recoil control at the cost of aiming recoil control, aiming stability, and flinch resistance. Put on the VLK laser, and I did not tune it. I mean, you can tune it if you want to. I mean, honestly, I would probably just increase the sprint to fire speed, but as you guys see, the more you increase the sprint to fire speed, the more the accuracy goes down. I mean, it's okay if you really want to. I think the sprint to fire speed is already pretty good, but if you want to tune that, then that's what you can do with it. VLK laser M7MW helps with aim down sight speed, aiming stability, and sprint to fire speed. The cost of the laser being visible in ADS, so keep that in mind. You're gonna get a 40 round mag. You don't need the 50. I mean, some people run 50. I just don't think it's necessary. Put on the 9mm overpressured ammunition. Increase the bullet velocity of 4.94 GR and the damage range of 0.45 Gs. And then we're gonna put on the Merc foregrip. I put the aim down sight speed to negative 0.28 inches and the hip walking speed to negative 0.62 ounces, just because I wanted some really fast movement and great ADS. Now, hip fire accuracy, recoil steadiness, hip recoil control, and aim walking steadiness. Those are the pros. The cons are hip walking speed and aim down sight speed. So that's what I basically accommodated this for, and here's the outcome. One thing you gotta keep in mind is this is actually fantastic. Even walking around is fantastic. ADSing is fantastic. Fire speed is fantastic. Recoil control is actually pretty fantastic. So it's an overall fantastic weapon to use. Now, long range is just not it. Like, you're not gonna win long range. It's kind of hard to control. I mean, you see I get some bullets off, but that's just not the ideal move. So what you're gonna want to do is keep this short to medium, and you'll be okay. You will be completely fine short to medium range, and you'll also have some really good movement. Like, I mean, it's super easy to, you know, use this as a movement build and be able to control the recoil. So just try to keep it at that range, and you'll do fantastic with this build right here. This one in particular. Don't use another build unless you just want some more recoil control. If you're using the stockless mod, this is the best one. Trust me, I've done so much research on it. That's the best one to use. Last but not least, we're going to use the TAC 56. This has 0 recoil, and it's going to be very, very easy to use. So we're going to put on the Harbinger D20 for the sound suppression, bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil smoothness at the cost of aim down sight speed, aiming stability, and aim walking speed. Put the bullet velocity at 0.81 inches and the recoil smoothness at 0.54 ounces. Put on the 17.5 Tundra Pro barrel for damage range, hip fire accuracy, and bullet velocity at the cost of aim down sight speed, hip recoil control, and put the damage range at 0.21 inches. Recoil steadiness to 0.35 pounds. Put on the 5.56 high velocity. You can max out the bullet velocity and damage range. I mean, this is Warzone, so it's going to be a little bit different. If this was ranked play, I would tell you guys not to change the damage range because of the recoil smoothness trade-off. But because we have the Harbinger D20, it basically cancels that out, so everything is all good. Put the bullet velocity at 9 GR. And the damage range of 0.61 Gs. After that, it doesn't get any better. Put on the 60 round mag, FSS combat grip for recoil control. Put the aiming out stability at 0.35 inches, the recoil steadiness at 0.55 ounces, and here's the outcome. By the way, if you guys want to use a 40 round, you're just going to have more movement speed, aim down sight speed, reload quickness, and sprint to fire speed. But if you want as many bullets as possible, use a 60. So here's the outcome. Super easy to use, super broken weapon, like, still. Despite all the, you know, updates, all the nerfs, all the patches that recently happened, it's just super easy to use. You don't need an optic. It's kind of funny, there are people out there that are like, why don't you have an optic on your TAC 56? I remember that was one of the comments I actually got when playing Warzone 2, and it's just, you don't need an optic. You don't need one. Now, if you can do good without an optic, then fantastic. If you do good with an optic, cool. You know, there are some weapons that need an optic. This is not one of them. Fantastic, easy weapon to use with great iron sights. So, GG, no re.